In 1964, the 426 Hemi came out, and it had steel embossed head gaskets, about 20 thousandths thick. Some people call it a steel shim embossed head gasket. But in 1965, the 65 race Hemis had aluminum heads. So they went to the same gasket except made out of copper. And I like that. And I think that's the only head gasket that's proper for this build. But, of course, you can't buy those nowadays. But if any of you know who's got some 65 head gaskets that I could get my hands on, that's what I'd like to use on this build. It's the only thing that's proper. Sure, we can put Felpros on there, we can put Cometics on there, but this is what's proper. And there's that little thing at the top, as in all Hemi head gaskets. If you know where I can get some, we need them. We know the history of this block. These two brothers bought it new, and they only had it worked on once. And I've got a copy of that bill, and there's nothing on there about it being decked or anything. So we feel we know what we have here. But we're having to buy new pistons. And if there was something kinky about this deck height, and you pay over $2,000 for these pistons and wait over a month to get them, everybody's going to be mad at everybody. So we have to measure the deck height. I've got 3 different ways to do it. I've got a micrometer, but that doesn't help us today because it's in the hone. And then I've got a bar that goes in there, and you use a micrometer reading off of that bar. But you have to put the bar in the main bore to do that, and it's already in the hone. So the other method we have is this Dowel caliper from B&J. Now, the deck height on a 426 Hemi is 10.725, and the main bore is 2.943. So we're going to measure from the saddle. So you take half of that, 1.41 off of 10.725, and you get 9.254. So that's what we're looking for here. It's a little hard to work with this, and it's not easy, and you may miss it a thou or two, but that wouldn't matter to us because we're just trying to get close enough to know that the pistons we are buying are going to work. So let's see what we got. Well, that's pretty good. I'm measuring 9.253. So we're a thousandths off. So, well, now it's getting away from me, but it was 10.953. So we're good. But you just have to check that. Everybody's going to be mad at everybody if those pistons don't work. So now that we know that it's going to clean up on 1, maybe a little more thousandths, we can order pistons. So I called all the piston people. I prefer Diamond because they're old Hemi people, and they actually have Hemi pistons. They actually have a catalog. They've made a zillion of them. But you feel obligated to call all the other people too because it's their money that's going to buy them, not yours. So I called Ross, CP, and JE. And I was surprised. I think of Diamond being the most expensive, and Seems like everybody's raised their prices up to diamond prices. Well, I don't. No, I'm not paying that. And their delivery was worse. They told me 6 to 8 weeks delivery. One of them was 7 to 8. One of them was 6 to 7. One of them was 7, I think. But the delivery is terrible, and they all drive ricers, and they don't even really know what Hemi pistons are. I mean, let's be honest, they've never seen a 426 Hemi. And I couldn't believe how high the prices were. And of course, the diamond prices were higher than I thought they were too, but I think it was over $2,000 for the pistons. But he's going to make a set of pistons 3/1000 over, 10.5 to 1, and we're trying to match. Normally, when you change pistons, you're always going to have to rebalance, but we're trying. We're going to put forth a good effort to try to get the weight without having to pay a custom weight charge, and they'll do that, but it's $480, and so anyway, we're working. We're going to get there. When I first called them a month ago or so, when this project was brewing, they told me 3 weeks on delivery. And then when we got off the phone, he was saying 4 weeks. And then he said, well, Thanksgiving week. So I think that's really 5. But still, we're better off. I'm much happier with Diamond. I'm glad the other people were so high and had such lousy deliveries, because I'd rather buy from Diamond anyway. Those pistons being 3/1000 over won't cause a problem finding rings, because the rings are 5/1000 over piled to fit. So that means that 10 or 20 years from now, if you decide you want to refresh it or anything, you'll be able to go hopefully to a 5 over, and you'll still be in good shape. Working on all these 55-year-old blocks for Joe, you have to pull the dowel pins out to deck them, and obviously they're going to be very stubborn. And then you've got a lot of plugs in here, and they're all stubborn. And it takes me a long time to get them out, but I've never failed. And I don't know, I think I've nearly met my match on this. This is going to be a real nightmare. If I can't do my normal thing where I weld a nut on here and then weld a coupling nut on top of that and then put a slide hammer in it and slide it out. That's not going to work. If I tried to weld that, I'm liable to end up welding the dowel in instead of oh, this is going to be terrible. If I had some plates, I've got the blueprint of the front of the block and the back of the block. If I could find somebody to make me some plates where I could turn this up to where the deck is sticking straight up, then I could take like a 13/16 end mill and mill that down real good and lose a lot of its strength. And if it still doesn't want to come out, I've got some, what are those, letter drills that are about 235 and 242 or something like that. And by then you would have this so weak you could get it out of there. But I have no idea what I'm going to do. All I know is it's going to be miserable and it's going to take a long time. I honed the other 4 cylinders, and they measured the same as the 4 that we did the other day, which was a little bit tight on the bottom and a little bit loose on the top. But when we put the torque plate on, the torque plate will spread the top about 7/10, So when it comes time to hone, what we're really going to have is one thou big on the top and a little tight on the bottom, because the torque plate's not going to change the bottom. So we've got 2 to 3 thou to work with. To fit these 3 over pistons, we'll be honing 3 out of the bottom and 2 out of the top. Now that doesn't give you a whole lot of time to get everything straight, but the hone will probably do it all on its own. But if needed, I'll help it out by dwelling some at the bottom and kind of get it straight and let it just finish up the job. But that should work out fine. When I took this block out of the hone, I weighed it, and it was 275 pounds. 278.5 pounds. Now that 3 pounds of that is the chain. The original 426 Hemi block, and if I weighed one, I don't remember it, and the only one I have here has got concrete in it, so that's not a real number. But one of the Chrysler engineers said the original block weighed 251 pounds. So you kind of wonder, where did they put that 25 pounds? But they put it in some really good places, unlike the later blocks, the World and the Callies. They put some material some places that are never going to help you and me. But this was all well spent. I think the decks are thicker for those people that like to deck them a lot. Those lifter bores, you know, it's got that solid lifter bore. And what that gives you, well, not only does it give you more meat and everything, but it also gives you the capability to spread the lifters if you buy one that doesn't have the lifters cut in it yet. It gives you the ability to spread the lifters out to 2-inch spacing instead of 1.8, which straightens up the push rods a little bit, which is better for high RPM people. So that was cast iron well spent. This area of the block right here is 7/16 on the street Hemi block. It's 1/2 inch on this block. One of the biggest things I see is this web here. This web is full thickness, front and back. And, you know, it's massive. Whereas the original is like this on one side, but it's only about 1/3 thickness. So this being full, I like that. That looks like some good meat there. But I think they spent, and I haven't sonic checked it, because it really doesn't apply to this. We're going to run it anyway. But I know curious people want to know if the cylinder walls are thicker, so I might do something crazy like that. But anyway, that's the story of where the 25 pounds went. It all looks like it put in good places, and I think it makes a better block. The main caps are on, they're torqued down, using stock bolts, so we use motor oil for lube. That is so much easier than ARP. Wow, it's 100 times better. Okay, now we need 2.94, 2.5 to 2.943. And don't do me wrong. Well, let's hope that's not right. That is 2.941 1/4. $2.941 1/2. $2.941 1/2. This is not looking good, folks. 2.941 1/2. Well, let's try the next one. Maybe we'll get some better news or something. I don't know. $2.941.5. This micrometer is in quarter of a thousandths instead of tenths of a thousandths. 2.941.5. This is tragic news for a guy like me who hates working. But listen to that. It's got that record player sound. Remember when I did that 400 and it was a little tight? It's terrible. That's what it is. We're just gonna have to, I mean, we don't have to cut the caps or anything. All we need is a thou. Let's see what the others are. Hopefully they're all the same, so it'll make it easier to hone. 2.941.5. $2.942.25. $2.942.25. $2.941.5. Well, don't get the idea that you're going to get me to do this tonight. I've already done this all day. You've got, the good's been got out of me. No, not tonight. 941.5. There's no sense in trying any longer. Okay, we know where we're at. We've only got a thou to take out. This shouldn't be a big deal. And I've already got the caps, on there good. We don't have to. Okay. No, not tonight.